I have a second topic that I can show, and it's about basically an encyclopedia that CAD Electronics is doing and still working on and still improving. It's part of a product that is an emulator for Windows, for TI-99. And the whole thing is now called pc99W for Windows. Before there was only DOS version, and now there's basically a package, I think it's $50 if I'm correct, and it includes this encyclopedia, which is a collection of PDFs that were handmade, and basically the Mike Wright, which is the tech company with his wife, basically, they are recreating or trying to recreate whatever you have as printed in printed form, and trying to recreate with much passion how it's looking and how it should be looking, and trying to recreate searchable manuals and searchable text and magazines and books about the TI-99. And I think so far there are already over 70,000 pages in that encyclopedia. And this is not only about PDFs, but also the matching TI disks. So if there is a let's see, there is a directory just for the manuals, and they have a certain structure, and this is like the first manual, and this looks basically exactly as if you would have the manual in front of you. You can search for anything from any text, and so it's not just a cheap scan without OCR, but actually it's everything is searchable. So you can say, I want to search for all my PDFs for that library for a certain text entry, for a certain name, or a certain program, or a certain company name, or I want to read about Rom and want to find everything, any document that refers that word, and it gives you a certain result very easily. And it's a super complete set of documentation. So basically it has all the cartridge manuals here in that directory alone. The hardware manuals, everything that you could need or could want to write about or could want to research about, from technical manuals to the standard user manuals to the files for it. So to, let's say, on the TI PhD, we also have, for example, this is like the directory of TI disks. So we have all the disks as image in the corresponding format of pc99, which is, help me, a raw sector format? No, it's different to the v99 disk format, so it's like also storing.
pc99.
Yeah, it's also storing information between the sectors, or the head.
The whole track information.
The whole track format, yeah. But there is ways like the tools for Fretal to convert one from one to the other. So it's very easily usable to get the information out either on the UTI or on any emulator of choice. And here is like an example for the manuals of the disks. And this goes on and on. So this is featuring all the TI manuals. There's internal stuff like the GPL graphics programmatic language users guide that. So the language that internally was only used by Texas Instruments, but then actually never wanted to release information to the users about that, because that's the actual language of how the operating system of our TI is written. And back then in the days they were like afraid of giving away too much information. So all that is searchable, and you can. So it's not just a bad scan and badly angled and hardly readable, and but it's actually searchable, and you can copy part out and reuse that a lot. And that's so basically anything that is in printable form, you will probably have a nice copy of it there for the archive. The structure is in a way that there is also they call it, or the original name is the Psych, or the Enciclopaedia, and it's a PDF with, you won't believe it, 1,886 pages, and they introduced like a lot of links in between the documents as well.
Search for my name.
Yeah, let's search for.
This is search.
Arms. So, and
he finds it right away. Oh, it was there.
And you can, if you have a nice screen, you can search very easily for all the references that go to there. So is this still your address, Osterparkstraat?
Yes.
And this is like a reference of this is explained on the very first pages of the index. So this is a reference to the Micropendium, which is like the very last magazine that was about the TI, regularly coming out. To volume 15, issue 6, page 7, I think, something like that. So there is like code for that. And they are even like trying to make all that clickable, so that you click on that line and then it jumps to the other PDF document, which is the Micropendium digital. It's all in there. So Micropendium, 99, all those
user group newsletters.
User group newsletters. So
anything you can imagine.
70,000 pages. It must be something. And it's all basically on topic. It's not about Commodore or anything, but it's about the 9900, it's about the 990, or it's about the sound chips, it's about the video chips. Lots of books even included.
Yeah.
So this is a list of, for example, Introduction to Assembly Language. The whole book with 153 pages. So like there were in the editor assembler manual, there were found a lot of errors or typos, and they then released an addendum 1, an addendum 2, and then there were in some magazines they published some information about errors. All that was integrated into the actual manual, and the actual fixes were introduced or were added in the actual original document. So you don't even have to care about that. That is all done by them.
Do you know if Mike Wright is still accepting that sort of information, if anybody finds?
Definitely.
Because I know I sent him some things.
He will be in Chicago next month.
This copy is from, I think from, let me check, September? No, it's from August 2017 of the site. So this is one month old. This is really recent, and there was, I compared it with the version from 2 years ago, and it's introduced a lot of new updates. So a lot of this linkability they added between the documents. So this list of books from these authors. So for example, from the Sams catalog, they have 24. There was one in the auction today, I think.
Yeah, we have
With 200 pages.
We have several.
And all that is like readable. And for example, I'm using it on, I copied all the PDFs on a tablet that I have. And whenever I want to read about it, it's really nice because you have the original layout on that, and of course next to it is always the disk images. If there was a disk release or if there was a tape release, then they created a disk image with the content of the tape. So always at your hands basically. And the structure is the site as such is having this huge index information. Then there's a directory for the books. Then there is a directory for articles. So whenever an author, like a programmer that released regular information or articles in magazines, then they did a compendium of all his articles from a certain author, where we have a summary, and most of them are probably in a series of articles, and then the article is such as in one piece, and you can really go through. Instead of having to go through the magazine, volume 3, and then, okay, like maybe there's the next article on volume 4 or 5, and so on. But you have it in one spot. That's the articles they're about. It contains not too much information, but the books is like a really large folder. Then we have that. There is also like a nice book called from Bill Gaskill about cartridge collecting. So that alone is also 305 pages. All about TI-99 cartridges and how to collecting with rare images of items you might not have seen so often. Let's see if we find the author of Munchman, for example, the authors of several cartridges. Where do we have the Munchman person? James E. Dramis. And you can even see that he was also working on BASIC, it seems. And so here's some things on the packaging, on the different types of albums, on the shelves, and a lot of lists, of course, and variants. They have a whole lot of information that you can endlessly read, basically. There is also a small YouTube, but you can. I don't think it's up to date. Publications is basically any magazine or any other similar publication that was released, but not coming from a user group. So anything that, let's see, Smart Programmer. That was a nice magazine from I think the guys of Miller Graphics. And this again has over 400 pages, and any referred listing is you can find in the disks. The user group is the list of the newsletters of the user groups, and you can see that it's quite extensive list. And of course, they depend a bit on the that they get the allowance, the permission to do that, to include certain manuals, to include certain newsletters, include certain books and stuff. So that also is like tiresome to get the permissions and to find out and contact the right persons. And vendors is basically a list of companies. All is still done in this directory structure of maximum of 8 letters or 8 byte length. In the past, they wanted to be compatible with Macintosh and PC and old computers, so I think they still keep it like this. And one of the vendors, of course, is TI, and there you find all these TI release manuals and a lot of other information like, let's see here, application reports, how to develop on the TMS 9900, or something about the VDP. There's also a book with over 100 pages. And once you get used to the structure, it's very easy to find information. And also, basically in the site index document, if you don't know where to search, either you search for all the PDFs, which Institute is very fast, that's also very convenient, or you search for the search within this index document. Also the I don't remember, General Traveler. This is also a document about some library, and the library is as well here. So here are the disk images of the released disks, and basically each entry here is about one of those programs that were added to the Genial Traveler library. I don't know, Barry, do you know anything about that?
A General Traveler was a disc magazine,
Okay.
and there were several issues sent to the public, but at a certain point it stopped, and all the information of those magazines is now available in the SIG.
Yeah. And also one of the principles is that when somebody found out a new trick in extended basic about you can add more than 5 lines to one basic command, and it was first published in the 99er magazine and then republished in a German magazine 2 years later, or in an Italian magazine or in a French magazine, then they really checked, okay, where was it first published, and give credits to that original posting. And then in the other magazines, they just refer to that article as like a link. So you have also a kind of a history to statements or articles that refer to each other or relate to each other. And also you won't find advertisements here, but instead you will find a link to the advertisement that is happening then under vendors. And vendors is the list of companies that might have had certain ads or were releasing certain products. And sometimes the whole company folder for certain companies only having advertising. And so they don't print that advertisement and made it to text again in everywhere where this ad was posted, but only have it in this central spot and refer to that. So it's like we only post the information once and refer where it's used to keep it without duplicates. And the list is huge. That's all I can say. So if we go to Atari, you find the Atari manuals first. Any questions or any things I should search for?
Thanks, Klaus.
Thank you.